Hello, good evening everyone. Can you hear me? Yes,
Good
can you
evening,
hear
sir.
me? Good evening, good evening. Okay, then let's start. Actually, today I asked you to join in this session because of I'm going to explain one key factor which you require to gain for enhancing your speaking band score. That's one thing. This session will last longer for less than 20 minutes, so this will be very quick one. Anyways, this is the official introduction for this month IELTS speaking net course, 1 month course. So before talking about the course, we will discuss about IELTS exam, its speaking requirements and the marking criteria, as well as one more specific requirement which you have to gain for enhancing our speaking band score, as I explained. So that's the agenda for this session. This will be a quick one. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, I will continue. Is there anyone who already have taken your exam before and still working on higher band score, or no one is there like that? Okay, then let's start. Anyways, yeah, some mistakes are there, but anyways, let's see. They have some FAQs. First thing is, this course is just for 1 month. Okay, within 1 month, this course will end. But the thing is, can you able to gain some fluency and can you prepare for your IELTS exam within 1 month? So that's a question. The thing is, if you are planning yourself for preparing a IELTS exam, especially for speaking test, then you can manage within 1 month. Even though if you are finishing this course within 1 month, you have to work continuously for gaining your fluency. It's like a kind of continuous journey. In that case, you have to work continuously. So the second question is, can you pass IELTS exam without participate into this kind of any course? That's also a kind of question from a lot of students. That is possible also. But the thing is, while you are doing self-study for speaking, you cannot evaluate yourself properly. There should have someone, at least if you have any of your friend or family member which you can evaluate yourself, then that will be kind of benefit for you. For writing, reading, listening, you can evaluate yourself by understanding the marks you are gaining on your test papers. But when it's coming to speaking, someone should be there for evaluating yourself. But still, if your current speaking level is somewhat better, then you can work on yourself without joining into any class. So it depends on your current level as well as um, the way you are thinking about your speaking level. Third one, is there an age limit for taking IELTS exam? You know that there is no any age limit. Can I postpone the exam? You know that also possible. You can postpone your exam. But when it is coming to postponing exam, most of our students are postponing the exam just because of they are booking their exam without preparing themselves. But when it's coming to the exam date, they are getting nervous because they are thinking that they are not prepared too much for the exam. Then they are postponing. So don't let it happen before preparing, before placing your exam date. Just evaluate yourself and just evaluate the time frame which you have for prepare yourself. If you are confident enough for the time, then you can book your exam. Otherwise, it will be a waste of money as well as it will be extra headache for your study plan. In that case, whenever you are booking your exam, considering these factors. What are the test fees? I'm not going to explain here. These are gradually increasing. Last January increase. So it depends actually if you are taking paper based, computer based, like that. They have some slight differences, and UKIV they have some small higher price. So you can check on IDP or British Council websites. Yeah, this one. This is one more important thing when it's coming to a speaking test. This is how you are speaking test evaluating. This is how you are marking weighting. Okay, so they are giving you a not actually in speaking. This is about overall your IELTS exam. Your overall band score is scoring in this way. Okay, So they are given separate band scores for listening, reading, writing, and speaking. The average mark of your 4 sections will be your final band score. And the important thing is, if you are getting some half band score like 6.25, then they are rounding up for 6.5. If you are getting 6.75, they are rounding up for uh, 7 point. So that's how you are getting your band score. That's why you are not getting your band score like 6.25, 6.75. Either it will be 6.5, either it will be 6, either it will be 7. That's how your um, results coming out with the IELTS exam. This is one more important thing. Actually, this is the most important thing when it's coming to a speaking test. I think you already have seen this one, most of you. Maybe you may not. If you cannot read out these tiny letters, don't worry about that. You can find out this in their official website, IDP and British Council, IELTS website. They have this one. This is public question. Anyone can access and read these things. This is called speaking band descriptor. Same thing is there for writing as well, other components, but here we are talking about speaking. They have some more things under band score 4, but I crop those things because we are not talking below band score 5. Okay, so the minimum requirements of IELTS exam for most of the students are 5.5 minimum. So below 5.5, no one even talk about. So mostly, most of the students are requiring to get band score 7 if you are migrating to, say, suppose UK, then most of students are requiring to get band score 7. In that case, you have to understand the requirement of your speech in order to get these band score. There have certain things to understand. As you know, there you can see 4 marking criterias: fluency and coherent, this black color ribbon on the top, fluency and coherent, lexical resources, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation. These are the 4 marking criterias. So your speeches will evaluate under these marking criterias. Okay, one member asking to join. Let me check. Wait. Okay. So today I'm not going to talk about everything, as the band score 7 is common band score for most of the students. I will explain a bit about band score 7. But the important things, some of members in our pre-sessions, they know that I have mentioned this one. If you are targeting on band score 6.5, okay, then never ever consider about the requirements under band score 6. Or say suppose you are required to get band score 6, even band score 6, never ever watch at the requirements under band score 6. You have to keep your target somewhat higher. Why I'm saying that? Just assuming that you are preparing yourself very well for the requirements under certain band scores which you require to gain for process your migration. But if there may some little tiny mistakes of your speak, it can happen because in exam condition you may be in kind of under pressurized condition and you may be nervous in front of the examiner. In that case, you may do some tiny errors within your exam. Then you will fall into some lower band score than your required band score. In that case, whenever you are preparing for your IELTS exam, especially speaking test, you have to keep your target band score somewhat higher than your actual requirement. Okay, but let's try to understand some points under band score 7. I'm just read out, not everything. Very quickly, I will go through this one. Under fluency and coherent, I'm just talking about band score 7. Third row from top. Under fluency and coherent, the first one is speak at length without noticeable effort or loss of coherence. So fluency and coherent, not only fluency, they are checking your coherent as well. Some of you may know coherent means the logical flow of your speech. You cannot have a lot of unwanted pauses in between. You have to use a lot of connectors, linking words for linking your sentences each other as one speech. All those things coming into coherent. Same way, the topic you are explaining should be nicely arranged without going off topic or without telling something which not appropriate for the exact position you are explaining. All those things falling into coherence. So if you are doing some errors under fluency, or if you are doing some errors under coherent, ultimately you will lose marks under this marking criteria. So it speaks at length without noticeable effort. You can speak but without noticeable effort. There may have some kind of occasional effortful speeches for gaining some sentences, generating some sentences, speak out some sentences. But if it is not much noticeable, you may not lose marks under band score 7. You can gain up to band score 7. Or loss of coherence. You cannot lose your coherence if it is noticeable. Your speech should be natural in here. We will come to that point later on. The second one may demonstrate language related hesitation at times, or some repetition and or self-correction. So within our class, we will discuss about all these things. What is called by language related hesitation, what's called by content related hesitation, and repetition, self-correction. All those things are kind of common issues with Sri Lankan students, because we are not native speakers. We have to treat on these errors if you are having these errors, but it actually depends on person to person. Some person may not have language related hesitation, but they may have repetitions. Some person not doing repetition, instead of that they are doing self corrections. So it depends on person to person, and try to we have to understand individually and treat on them. Okay, language related hesitation, actually it means they have two type of hesitations. What's, as I mentioned, first thing is content related hesitation. You may stop your speech for think what to say next. Find out your content. Native speakers also doing that. That's called content related hesitation. It's totally okay with IELTS exam, because you are not pausing in there for your kind of fluency issues, or maybe generating some sentences. You are stopping there for think what to say next. So that is totally okay. But when it's come to language related hesitation, they have so many things: lack of fluency, lack of sentence generation, lack of sentence linking, lack of vocabulary, all those things coming into language related hesitation. So if examiners will notice that, they will lose some marks under, reduce some marks under fluency and coherence. Third one, uses a range of connectives and discourse marks with some flexibility. So we will learn about a lot of connectives and discourse marks within our class. Connectives are playing a huge role when it's coming to speeches. Without connectives, you cannot connect word, phrases, sentences, even though ideas each other. So that is really required to learn or speak like native speakers. Okay. So let's see lexical resources. Uses vocabulary resources flexibility to discuss a variety of topics. Lexical resources means generally your vocabulary level. Your vocabulary level means you should have enough vocabularies for explaining even the tiny details which you require to explain. Some students are there which they are, while speaking, they are stop, they are pausing in between just because of they don't have enough vocabulary for explaining certain things. So they are pausing and they are thinking what to say, what vocabulary to apply. In that kind of situation happen ultimately just because of lack of fluency, lack of practice. So when it is coming to IELTS exam, you have to find out related vocabularies which you can apply for certain IELTS speaking questions, cue cards, part 3, even though part 1. So we will learn how to find out vocabularies and we will practice. Uses some less common and idiomatic vocabulary and show some awareness of style and collocation with some inappropriate choices. So collocations, idiomatic vocabularies, less common, idiomatic. Actually, when it is coming to idioms, most of the students are saying some common idioms like piece of cake, cloud nine, top of the mountain, like that. So these are really common idioms. Idiomatic vocabulary means not only these. While we're explaining, just if you are watching kind of Hollywood movies, you may see they are using a lot of idiomatic phrases, even though sometimes we cannot understand what's mean by that. that kind of idiomatic vocabulary we should have. And within our class, we will learn some idiomatic vocabularies, and you can gain this knowledge by referring in internet. Okay, uses phrases effectively. Uses paraphrase effectively. Sorry. So paraphrasing also required. Mostly we are using paraphrasing for explaining questions, explaining same thing which contain in questions. We should not apply same word which is available in the content. As much as possible, we should paraphrase the topics, questions while we're explaining. Okay. Apart from that, if you are forgetting some specific vocabularies, you can paraphrase. That's totally okay. So paraphrasing ability should gain for come up to band score 7. When it's coming to grammatical range and accuracy, this is the kind of, I can say, most important thing, because most of the students are doing a lot of mistakes under grammatical range and accuracy. Sometimes they are messing with their tenses. They are speaking in past tense, suddenly jump with present tense verbs. Sometimes they are messing with genders. They are explaining about male person, but they are saying she, her, like that. Sometimes they are messing with voices, active and passive. Okay, those things coming under grammatical range and accuracy. So they have some things like uses a range of complex structures. So complex structures, they have a lot of things to learn. Like if you know how to apply subordinating conjunctions, then you can generate complex structures. All those things coming under grammatical range. We can produce error-free sentences through some grammatical mistakes persist. Even though under band score 7, some level of grammatical mistakes are acceptable, but we should try to avoid grammatical mistakes as much as possible. Last one, pronunciation. Today, I'm not going to explain pronunciation here, because just after we will talk about pronunciation more than this. So shows all the positive features of band score 6 and some but not all of the positive features of band score 8. So it's not clearly mentioned under band score 7. They are saying we have to refer band score 6 and 8 in order to get the clear idea about the requirements of band score 7. This is the main thing we should understand when it's coming to our speaking test. You may speak fluently, but fluent speak will not be sufficient for okay, your fluency will not sufficient for gaining higher marks. You have to align with these requirements. Okay, say suppose you require to gain band score 8, then you have to refer the requirements of band score 9. They have same requirements, but when you are targeting on higher band score, the area of requirement will be somewhat strict. You have to work hardly for gaining that knowledge. So that's why you should work on these requirements properly. And when it is coming to our class, our syllabus is based on this band descriptor, because this is the framework for IELTS speaking test. Even though if you are not willing to enroll this class today or not, if you are practicing yourself or you are practicing with your friends, just refer this band descriptor and try to align with the requirement of this. Definitely you can gain something from that. If you have any questions, you can ask before going forward. Okay, good. Then let's go. Oh, sorry, some font issues are there, but I will explain. What's this IELTS speaking test looks like? What are the parts of the IELTS speaking test? That's what you cannot see in there under these fonts. Sorry about that, my mistakes. But anyways, you can see part 1, part 2 and part 3. Part 1, introduction and interview. Part 1, basically the part 1 will not last longer for 4 to 5 minutes. Maximum it will take 4 minutes or maybe 4 minutes and a half. They will have certain questions. Examiner will ask some questions related with yourself, like about your hobby, your family, your job, your studies, your home, like that. So when it is coming to part 1, we should give our answers freely with some examples from ourselves. They have so many methods. In our class, we will learn how to give some good answers for part 1 questions by learning those methods. Okay, so even though without methods you can practice yourself if you're willing to. You should give some answers which is not shorter. You should round up your answers. So for rounding up answers, you can apply some methods in part 1. That's the part 1. When it's coming to part 2, most of the students are saying part 2 is the most difficult part in IELTS speaking test, because in part 2 you have to talk up to 1 to 2 minutes. Say suppose you have to practice your part 2 questions up to 2 minutes of speeches when you are practicing yourself individual long term. It means in between part 2 answer, examiner will not interrupt you. He or she will not assist you on anything. You have to speak continuously on your topic until examiner will stop you. So maximum they will allow you to speak up to 2 minutes. Then after they will stop you in there. But they are evaluating that whether are we capable enough for speak up to 2 minutes of time with native speakers when we are migrating or not. That's the basic requirement of having part 2 cue card section in our speaking test. So Maka guestbook, we are referring Maka guestbook actually in our class, because I have personally I have seen that, I have experienced that in every month the questions which you are getting in real exam, same questions are there in Maka guestbook. So if you are referring Maka guestbook, the newer version already released. Some of our member already shared with our group as well, so you can refer that one. The questions in Maka guestbook. Then if you are planning to face your exam before December, current version will be sufficient for understanding the type of questions available in there and type of question will you get in your real exam. It doesn't mean exactly the same questions will come in your real exam, but still somewhat similar questions you will get definitely. Then you will not get any trouble with that. Part 3, two-way discussions. Part 3 also you will have 4 to 5 minutes, but they have one different in between part 1 and part 3 which you have to understand. In part 1 they are asking some questions which related with everyone's life, daily basis life, which we can easily give our answers, because whatever the questions you are getting in part 1, it's really align with ourselves. But in part 3 they are asking some questions linked with your cue card part 2 question. It doesn't mean exactly the part 2 cue card question will link with part 3 questions. It doesn't like that. It will not work like that, but somewhat similar. So whenever you are giving answers for part 3, you have to be somewhat, we can say, serious. It doesn't mean your answers will be somewhat serious, but you should give some fact. You have to give your conclusions. You have to give your opinions like that. They have type of questions like comparison type of questions, your statement type of questions. They have such questions in part 3. So in our class, they have different methods which you can apply for part 1, part 2 and part 3. Not only one method, they have several methods. Then while you are applying these methods, you can easily generate kind of good answers for these each parts. Then you will not have that issue for generating answers for these each parts. So part 1 they have separate method, part 2 they have separate methods, part 3 they have some separate methods based on the type of questions you are getting in your IELTS exam. Okay. Oops. My fault. This font is not working in this one anyways. The question here is, now this is the secret thing. This is the thing I promised you to explain today. Even though if you are fluent enough, even though if you have practiced too much for IELTS exam, why some people are not getting their required band score? Why they are not getting their dream band score? Because while they are evaluating themselves, they are thinking they are fluent enough. Even though in classes also some teachers are saying they are fluent enough for gaining band score 6, 7, 7.5 like that. But some of the students are end up with 5.5, 5 like that. So they are desperate after they are releasing their results. So why this happening? This is the main question here. And today we are talking about this. If you already have taken your IELTS exam and if you have getting kind of lower band score than your required band score, then this question might be related with you. And if you are not even faced to exam it, this is really important for you. In that case, let's see why this happening. Okay. So the thing is, in order to get higher band score, you have to be conversational. You have to speak naturally. That is the key point of your speech. It doesn't matter how much align with your grammatical range, what kind of range of vocabulary do you have, and how much fluent you are, how coherent your speech and your pronunciation. It doesn't matter any of that if your speech is not natural. Your speech should be natural with the examiner. That's the key point of this. And that is what we are talking today. Because some students are there, they are practicing too hard, they are gaining their vocabulary level, they are gaining their fluency, they are gaining some pronunciation practices, okay, and they are not doing any major grammar mistakes within their speeches. So everyone expecting, even examiner, even teachers are expecting that they will get some higher band score like 7, 7.5, but sometimes they end up with 5, 5.5 just because of this issue. Whenever they are facing to their IELTS exam, they are not speak as their natural speech. They are not speak naturally. They are not conversational. They are just speak like robotic voice. That is why examiners are reducing their marks. So in order to rid of this issue, you have to practice these things and you have to align with these points which I mentioned here. Embrace a conversational tone. Okay, it means practically whenever you are facing to your IELTS exam, don't think like there is one examiner in front of you. Just think like there is one friend of you. Whenever you talk with your friend in daily basis life, that same intonation, that same conversational type of speech should be there. That natural speech should be there with your examiner. Say suppose now I am speak with my natural conversational type of fluency. But if I'm saying same thing like that in kind of specific way, kind of formal way, it doesn't feel right. If I'm saying like you have to speak like that, I cannot even imitate that. So some students are doing that. Don't do that. Okay. Try to practice in natural way. Whenever you are gaining new vocabularies, this is actually happening while you are practicing on IELTS topics. Okay. Whenever you are talking your daily basis life, you are not doing this issue. But when you are giving some answer for part 1, cue cards, mostly in part 3, you are trying to give some answers with kind of made up accent. Okay. So if you are not conversational, if your speech is not natural, then you will lose some marks, even though if you apply all other requirements which mentioned in band descriptor. Practice regularly. So in order to gain your conversational natural speech, you have to practice regularly. Practice with IELTS topics. Okay. Work on pronunciation. It means you can imitate native speakers. You can listen to native speakers and understanding how they are pronouncing such words. Okay. They have two more things to learn when it is coming to your pronunciation. Don't even worry about your accent. It doesn't matter when it's coming to your real exam. Examiners will not evaluate your accent, but they will evaluate your word distortion and your intonation. So you have to work on your word distortion and intonation. That is one of key factor when it is coming to your IELTS speech in order to get higher band score than 6.5 or 7. Because if you require to gain more than 7, you have to work on your word distortion and intonation. So those things we will cover within our class. If you are not enrolling, just search in internet, you may find out good content. Even YouTube you can use for that. Develop fluency through topic based practice. The thing is, you may already fluent. Whenever you speak with me, if I'm asking such questions from you right now, you may give answers fluently. But the thing is, when it is coming to your IELTS speaking topics or questions, then your fluency might be fluctuate little bit lower or little bit higher. It happened because of we are not aligning with the type of topics in IELTS exam, IELTS speaking test. Part 1 doesn't matter, but when it's coming to part 2, Q card and part 3, you have to work on that. You have to practice continuously for answering these questions, Q cards and part 3 questions. Avoid lengthy pauses. This means actually, obviously, it's coming under your fluency as well. Whenever you are explaining something some lengthy sentences, don't keep some unwanted pauses in between. Okay, pauses are totally okay appropriately, but if pausing unwantedly, then your marks will fall under your fluency and pronunciation as well. Okay, so you have to practice continuously for rid of these unwanted pauses. Expand your vocabulary. That's what I explained. You have to start yourself for finding out new vocabularies, some synonyms, as well as some unique words, idiomatic phrases, all those things coming under vocabulary. So if you able to explain such things with rich vocabularies rather than common words, then you can gain some higher marks under your vocabulary. Listen attentively to the examiner. This is actually one of key point. Most of its students are doing this mistake while even they are doing mock tests with us. Sometimes whenever they are listening to the first part of questions, mostly in Q card and part 3, they are not listening to the rest of the question and they are thinking what to say, what should I tell, like that. In that case, in that case, they may lose the whole question. They may not understand the exact correct question and they may give some wrong answers. It coming under off topic. So if you are giving some off topic answers, you may lose your marks under your fluency because you are not fluent enough for understanding the question even. In that case, you have to listen to the examiner without thinking anything else while examiner explaining such questions, mostly in part 3. Q card question doesn't matter as you can see the question in a paper. Be prepared for follow-up questions. This is actually one more thing. Most of the time we are preparing for Q card questions while we are practicing ourselves, but we are forgetting part 3 questions, follow-up questions. In that case, some students are losing their marks under part 3. So whenever you are practicing some Q card questions, they have related follow-up questions in Makage's book. You can cover those questions as well. They may have 4 to 5 questions most of the time. So try to cover follow-up questions as well because part 3 questions are more tricky than Q card questions. Q card question, the topic itself you can understand. Say suppose describe a child which you have some time with. Maybe describe your favorite book, describe your favorite actor, like that. But when it's coming to part 3, there might have some tricky questions like, do you think famous actors should pay more than regular actors? So these are kind of questions which you have some comparisons. So you have to work on that. In that case, don't forget follow-up questions, part 3 questions. One more important thing is control nervousness. In order to control your nervousness, you have to do a lot of mock tests. Last one also aligning with same thing, mock test and feedbacks. So if you are doing a lot of mock tests, continuous mock test and continuous practice, then you can rid of this nervousness. As well as always you should gain some feedback from someone. It doesn't mean you should have some feedback from teachers. It doesn't mean like that, not from myself, not from many other teachers, but at least if there is someone who can understand your mistakes, maybe one of your friend, maybe your family members, maybe your co-workers, okay, whoever. If someone can give some feedbacks on your mistakes and your good point of your speeches, then you can work on that. And also you can have your self-evaluation as well while you are practicing on mock tests, while you are delivering your answer for Q card questions. You can record yourself and listen back. While listening back, you can understand what kind of mistakes are present with your answers. So these are the things which you should consider in order to give natural speech rather than kind of robotic sound, kind of sound which is not natural. Okay. Actually, this is the thing which I wanted to explain you. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I will go with the course. Here also you can see the important thing, but the topic you cannot see. Sorry about that. What will you learn from this course? Now we are talking about this 1 month course. First thing is IELTS is speaking based on syllabus. As I explained, the syllabus have made based on IELTS speaking band descriptor. Everything is aligned with IELTS speaking test. IELTS speaking patterns, exam tips, and methods. So there, as I mentioned, they have so many methods as well as exam tips. How to impress the examiner, how to behave with the examiner, how to give your first impression properly with the examiner, and how to give your pre-answers before to your part one questions, and speaking patterns. They have so many speaking patterns which you can apply. Okay, so you can find out the most appropriate methods for your own answers. Continuous mock test and speaking practices. So we will do continuous mock test while we are doing our theory parts and speaking practices. By doing that, so you can gain your fluency. Time management actually really required when it's coming to IELTS speaking test. Not only in part one, it doesn't matter in part one, but in part two and part three, time management is really required. Part one, somewhat, mostly in Q card question, because you are getting exactly 2 minutes of time. So within these 2 minutes of time, some students are there, they are consuming a lot of time for explaining Q card answer. Some students are there, they end up before 2 minutes of time. They are less than required time frame. So if you are a person who explain things so deeply, more than 2 minutes of time, you have to work on how to compress your speeches. If you are a person who don't have enough ideas for cover up 2 minutes of time, then you have to work on for enhancing your sentences and ideas up to 2 minutes of time. That's called time management in Q card. In part three also, you have to consider about your timing for giving your answers. Keywording plus more. Keywording means when it's coming to a Q card question, these keywords, this note which you are making within that 1 minute of preparation time play a huge role for your Q card answer. Most of the students are not considering this keywording precisely, but that is one of key factor for delivering answer with having good coherent answer, with having good fluency. Because if you have good set of keywords, you will not distract in between for finding out any ideas, because all the ideas already within your paper, then you can easily look at the paper and deliver a speech without any further issues. Okay, all those things we'll discuss in our class. What will you get in the class? Free access to each day's session at any time. So all the sessions will upload into YouTube channel, and whoever join with the class, they will get the access, not accessible for public, but for the persons who join with the class, they can access for their session recordings. Because mostly whenever you are missing any class, or whenever you are delivering your answers within the class, then you have to listen back, especially whenever you are delivering your answer and whenever I am evaluating your answers, then you can listen back and finding out your own mistakes, and you can work on that. Access for mock test and evaluation recording, same way, all the things will be in YouTube and you can access forever. I am not deleting any sessions recording. Even after finish 1 month class, you can access at any time, because um, this class may finish within 1 month. It doesn't mean you will face your exam within 1 month. So I should keep this access forever in order to refer whenever you require before your exam. Extra Q card evaluation, it means you can send me up to 5 to 6 Q card answers per week. Then end of the week, mostly Sunday evenings, we will come to you Zoom as a team, and we will evaluate. I will play back your recordings in front of you in Zoom sessions, and I will evaluate your Q card answers. By doing that, you can cover a lot of cue card answers within Maka Guestbook. Day and night optional sessions. Actually, this option is there for mostly ship-based workers, mostly nurses are there. So whenever they are missing any class due to their work schedule, not for other reasons, just because of their work schedules, then I can arrange the same class in some other day, maybe next day, according to their work schedule. So that option also there, because they have a lot of nurses who is following IELTS exam. They may have this issue due to their shift based work. They may not be able to join with the class. In that case, I will give this option for them. Okay, any questions? Okay, now about course duration. Course duration 1 month is starting from 27th. It means coming Wednesday we will start the class, and the class will be holding every Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, 8:30 to 10:30, and cue card and mock test at every Sundays, as I explained. The next question, why only cover up speaking part? Because person who already been in my class previously in previous months, they already know this 1 month class is barely enough for covering everything in terms of speaking test. If we are going to cover everything within 1 month, then you can just touch the surface of speaking. You cannot gain a lot of things about your speaking test. There have some courses which cover in 4 sections within 1 month, but the thing is, in those courses, actually it's not a fault of teachers. It's just about timing. You will not get enough time for cover a lot of things under your speaking test. Most of the students are facing their issues with their speaking test, not with other grammar parts, writing, because as we are writing, as we are practicing for write since our childhood, we are not facing such issues with our writing part, essay writing, our listening, our reading. All those things are totally okay. But the thing is, when it's coming to your speaking, if you are not speak continuously in English language, then you may require some special attention for your speaking test. That's why I have uh, planned this specific speaking class for IELTS candidates. The registration form will be shared once after the payment. So you can do the payment before 27th of this month, I mean the starting day of this month. Then after, there will be a kind of small registration form in order to get some idea about yourself, whether are you a nurse, are you a doctor, are you a professor, are you a teacher, like that. Then after, I can understand what's your required band score and what's your migration process, which country are you about to go, and are you doing academic, are you doing general IELTS exams. So all those things I can understand while filling out this registration form. It just 4 to 5 questions, very easy one. So once after fill the registration form, I will call you individually one by one to have some general discussion before to start this class. Then I can understand your speaking level as well. Then you also can understand if there's any mistakes of your speeches. So that will happen before the starting day of the class. And if there is much more students than 12 number of students, then I will divide this class into 2 to 3 sections, because individual attention is required for understanding your individual issues. In that case, I will not consist lot of members for one class. So these are the things about the class. So the bank details and everything within our group, I will share once after finish this class. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, we can wind up. Okay, then I think that's all. Apart from this, actually, I forgot to say, if there's persons who already have enrolled this my 1 month class, they don't require to go with this same class, which is containing same theory parts. They have one more option, which you can take continuous mock test. There will not have any theory part, but we will do continuous mock test. That class will be every Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays night. Then you can join with continuous mock test practices. So that also same type this class. Apart from that, if you are about to face your exam, and if you are nervous about that, you can enroll individual classes as well. So everything optional. Just ask me. Yeah, Irandy, any questions? Okay, I will share payment details within our 3 groups. Actually, they have our pre-group as well as 2 more groups which I have made for this one. I will share payment details within the groups. You can do online payments or bank payments, whichever you do. Maybe screenshot, maybe your payment slip, just send to me via WhatsApp. Then I can call you individually. Okay. Then after I will share you this registration form. I hope that's enough. If you don't have any questions, actually this class is apart from our pre-group. Okay, even though if I'm sharing about this class from within our pre-group, it doesn't mean there's any relation with our pre-group. It's totally free, and our these pre-sessions at 4 o'clock in every weekday will continuously happen and totally free. It doesn't mean anything related with this one. You can join with free groups, free sessions, daily basis, even though if you're not enrolled in this one. From there also you can gain something. But the thing is, in our pre sessions, I will not get enough time for evaluating your speeches thoroughly. Like I cannot play back your speeches and I can exactly find out in detail issues of your speeches. But generally, I will give some ideas and recommendation on your speeches in pre-sessions as well. In our this class, I will do deep evaluations about your speeches in terms of IELTS speaking requirements. So that's the difference of this paid class and pre-sessions, even though you can join with that as well. Okay, then I consumed somewhat higher time than I asked from you. Sorry about that. I will put this introduction session to our YouTube channel as well, and I will share the link. If you have any friends to join with the session, you can share with them also this information. And one more thing, if you are joining 2 more friends to this class, you can join with the class with 50% discount. It means actually the price of this class is 6,000, not too much. If you have joined with some other classes, you may have seen they are charging like 20,000, 25,000, 30,000 for 1 month. Some they are asking 15,000 like that. But here 6,000 means not about the quality, but I'm thinking that it's sufficient for giving something to you. So in that case, I'm not increasing that. So if you are joining 2 more members, you can join with the class for 3,000. So that option also there. So it's up to you. Just leave me messages individually to my WhatsApp. They have 2 WhatsApp numbers. So you can use either one and reach me for any further clarification about the class. For now, I think this is more than enough. Thank you for joining with the session. And I hope you gained something from this session as well. So have a good night to everyone.